Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to another episode of Karma Cards. I am your host, Therese Tucker, and it's a pleasure to be here with you today. Now let's talk about the energy of the week. So this is the week of the full moon in Scorpio that happened on Monday, May 12th. I am recording it now. I don't know if you saw the floof. Oh, hi. There she is. I am recording it now on Thursday, the 15th. So we're past the full moon, but we're still feeling it. And let's talk about what happened with the full moon in Scorpio. Floof has a lot to say about it right now. The full moon in Scorpio is a deep dive. Scorpio likes to get to the heart of an issue. And since Scorpio's ruler is Pluto, Pluto is all about empowerment. But Pluto doesn't necessarily go about that in a gentle way like Venus would. Pluto likes to look at what's in the way of your empowerment and strip that from you. So when we're working with this kind of energy in a full moon that's talking about the end of a cycle, so the sun and moon were at 22 degrees. 22 is a number in the tarot that's associated with the Fool, and the Fool holds two spaces in the tarot. It sits at space 0 and it's space 22. When the card or the number, the numerology is at 0, this is talking about before a cycle happens. And when it sits at 22, it's talking about what happens after the cycle. Well, so both the sun and moon are sitting at 22 degrees with the full moon, talking about this end of what is disempowering you. Basically, this is your life after the disempowerment, or after you figure out what's been in the way, and then the next cycle begins, which will be the cycle of empowerment. So with that theme, I was asking my team, what is the message for this week? And the message that came up was about pruning out the things that are disempowering you. And when I sat and thought about it, and I connected it back to Scorpio, Scorpio is on the axis of money. So Scorpio and Taurus, they're two polar opposites in the zodiac wheel. They sit across from each other. And the axis that they're sitting on has to do with money. Both signs deal with it. Now, Taurus is more about how you're making that money and where you value it. Where is it in your values? It's more about your personal possessions, where Scorpio is about your shared money. It's how you pay taxes. It's how you share banking information, or about finances shared with maybe a partner, things like that. So pooled resources is what Scorpio is looking at. So I thought about this. What do we have to prune out to help us feel more empowered? And the message that came up was money stories. These are the things that need to shift. Now, the people I am talking to, the people who are going to be watching this, I already know something about you. You are a giver. You love to give. You are very open in the front of your body. So our chakra centers have both a giving and receiving aspect. So the fronts of our chakras is what gives out energy. So whenever you're thinking about your heart or opening your chakras, my guess is for those who are watching, you're thinking about the front. That's what I do too. It's easy for us to open that part of the center. However, our back, the back side of our chakras, is where receiving happens. And I almost never focus on the back of my chakras, but I'm going to start doing it, because we need to open up the energy centers for receiving. So if you're hearing this message, and when I talk to you about disempowerment around money, and that kind of stings a little, or it tingles, or you're feeling it, there's a good chance that though you're very open and willing to give out energy, you might be somewhat blocked or very blocked in your ability to receive. Now, this is pretty common, especially if you are a person who is in deep devotion to spirit, right? If you feel like you've had lifetimes where you have worked on behalf of the sort of spiritual side of life, we have a tendency to equate devotion with deprivation. Like there's something that we have to give up in order to be of service. And again, I want to sort of talk about the paradox of martyrdom, because whenever we're working towards service to others, or the higher polarity, the positive polarity, this is the one that has the positive energy on it. But one of the ways that people can sort of fall out of alignment with the higher polarity is going into martyrdom. So they're not even thinking about their own needs. They're only focused on the needs of others. And they're sort of like, I don't matter as long as these needs get met. And a great example of that is actually in the TV show The Good Place. If you've ever seen it, there's a character who sort of like figures out how point totals work on the other side in heaven. His name's Doug Forsett. Doug Forsett is like the characterized, overdone version of the martyr. The martyr is, interestingly enough, sort of the flip side of the narcissist, where the narcissist puts themselves above all others. So they separate through the feeling of superiority, like it's only about them. The martyr is the flip side of that, and also separates, but separates because of belief that they're not as important as everyone else. So they're making themselves less than. And in some ways, our brains got tricked into thinking that that is like the more spiritually aligned version, right? We're often told stories about this. I mean, the sort of classic take on Jesus is this guy was a martyr, right? He was giving his own life for other people. But if we actually go deeper into it, he wasn't doing it because he believed he was less than. But that's not often how it gets interpreted. It's like the most holy thing to do is to sacrifice yourself for the greater good. We are not in that paradigm. We are not in a paradigm where sacrificing yourself is actually going to serve the greater good, because you are a part of the greater good. So we must learn to see ourselves inside service to others. It includes you. If it's excluding you, then we're not actually practicing full service to others, because it includes all. It's about the oneness, the whole. And if there's one piece missing, then it's not the whole. So one of the things we're going to want to look at in this week is we're going to want to look at where in our sense of self are we attaching a sense of maybe holiness or goodness or virtue to where we are deprived or lacked, forgotten, or neglected. Are we holding any of those patterns in our system that maybe served a self-image? Like, I'm a good person, I don't need a lot, I take care of others, I don't burden other people with my needs, right? These types of thoughts would be connected to a type of martyr archetype that might be hanging out in our sense of self. Now, our ego represents that sense of self. And again, my take on the ego is not a negative. We have this old spiritual paradigm thing about ego bad, and I've got to get rid of that. And again, I almost feel like that just feeds that archetype. Like, so if we're trying to rid ourselves of a part of ourself, we're neglecting that part of ourself, and that's going to show up in our energy patterns. So we want to get clear and clean up the stories that we are telling ourselves about ourselves. I don't need this. My needs aren't more important. If I focus on me, that's selfish, right? If I talk about what I need, then I'm veering towards narcissism. And it's about learning how to edit out these patterns, not from a place of judgment or shame, but from a place of curiosity and understanding that we may have held those archetypes or those beliefs about ourselves in the past, and we are always evolving, which means that those stories don't always fit who we're becoming. And if you've been living a life where you feel like you're just getting enough, you're just getting by, you never quite get out of survival mode, and you're stuck in that place, but you really want to thrive, but you almost feel guilty for wanting that, that means there's a story stuck in your sense of self, in your self-image, in the ego that is telling you this makes me maybe a better person, or who am I to ask to thrive? Who am I to believe that I should deserve more in my life? And maybe even a fear of like, if I were to have my needs met or get more, I might lose that sense of holiness or devotion or higher energy that I've worked so hard to earn. And it's time for us to totally edit these stories. It's time to prune out the dead branches, if you will, so that our tree of energy can truly thrive and we can start seeing that return in energy now. So today I just want to give you a few exercises that I've been working on, because I too am actively working on cleaning this energy up out of my system. And I know a lot of us think, well, maybe I have these old soul contracts where I agreed to these vows of poverty or humility or just getting my needs met. Whatever that is, that's something, that's a belief, whether we can prove that contract happened or not. Just sitting here and going, well, I have that in my past because I was a monk, or I have that, I have to rebalance this karma because in another lifetime I took too much, maybe. Whatever's playing out there, all we were meant to do, let's say it's karma, just for the sake of what I'm about to say next. Let's say it's karma, like you took too much in a past lifetime, and so to rebalance it in this one, you're not going to take that much. You're going to take only what you need, maybe even less. And remember, we're praised for like only take what you need, and that, in theory, if there was balance in the world, might work. But for most of us, what's happening is we are shutting down our ability to receive, and so we might only take what we need, but that's, our needs keep growing and the amount we're taking never grows with it. So we've got an energy constraint. If you had, let's say, karma from a past life where you took a lot and you were extravagant, right? You had it all and you blew it all. Let's say that was the case. If you feel like you understand it now, and that you've learned from that, you no longer have to continue to hold this energy in your field. You were never meant to be punished for something that you're not even consciously aware of, because technically you're not the version of yourself who did that deed. It's more about understanding. As soon as you understand and can forgive it, whether you feel like you need to forgive it from yourself or forgive it in somebody you're seeing doing it, if you can find forgiveness, you break the karmic wheel. You are done. You get to leave the experiment, and we get to rewrite our contract. We get to update it, say, yep, got it, learn the lesson, keeping the memory, leaving the experience. I'm checking this off as done. And so let's work on a few things today that, if this helps you, you can activate them and bring that energy into your body. And we're going to start with just practicing receiving breath. So here's what we do. First, we're going to start by placing a hand over our heart and a hand over our belly. And you can just start by breathing in to the heart and the belly. And I want you to repeat the statement. You can say it out loud after me, or you can repeat it internally. I am safe to receive. I am worthy to receive. I am designed to receive. I am safe to receive. I am worthy to receive. I am designed to receive. And as you're focusing on those statements, this time, when you're feeling the heart building up with light, we're going to pay attention to the back of our heart. So bring your attention to your back and imagine a beautiful golden light building up like a portal opening at the back of the heart. I am safe to receive. Feel that energy building up in the back. I am worthy to receive. I am designed to receive. And as you feel that energy growing, I want you to imagine the root chakra at the back opening up, the sacral chakra at your back opening up, the solar plexus at your back opening up, the throat, the back of your throat opening up, the back of your head at your third eye opening up, and then the crown, which points upward, opening up. And as you're breathing this energy in, I am safe to receive, you feel these energy centers pulling energy into the body from the back there. I am safe to receive. Pull the energy in through all the centers. As you breathe in, I am worthy to receive. And again, feeling all these energy centers pulling energy into the body. And finally, I am designed to receive, and feeling again the energy centers pulling this energy in through their vortices into the body, and the body lighting up. It's filling with this light and energy. Now, this is one of the ways that we can actually fill our cup and prime it to be ready to give. A lot of people on this plane, you have a problem where they're giving from an empty cup. So they're willing to give, but they're feeling empty energetically. This is one way that you can prime yourself. Open up the energy centers, open the reception, bring the energy in through the back of the body. And this is the first exercise that we can do, where we're not really challenging ourselves so much. We're just opening the field and feeling that energy come into the body. You might notice that you actually increase in energy as you do this. As I'm talking to you now, I'm like, wow, I feel way more awake now that my chakras are open and pulling more energy into the body. So as you do that, I would say do it about 3 to 5 times, or you could do it for 3 minutes straight. Just try holding it there, pulling the energy into the body. Now, if we're actually working on building up the energy to receive, we've got to practice receiving. This is the part where it might get a little uncomfortable because it's just territory we're not as used to. But here are just a few simple ways we can practice the art of receiving, which allows more flow into our life so that we have enough for ourselves. Instead of surviving, we're moving into thriving. When we're thriving, we actually have more to give. So here's some small ways that we can practice receiving. 1, let someone help you without apologizing that they're helping you. Let them be the one to give to you. For a lot of givers, this one's hard because we're so used to fulfilling that function that it almost feels like we're not doing our job. That's not what it is, what's going on at all. You're giving someone else the honor of being able to help. And you know that good feeling you get when you give, you're letting someone stand in that place right now. Another way that we can allow ourselves to be better at receiving is letting ourselves receive compliments. When somebody compliments you, when they tell you that they like you, or they think that you are smart, or you look beautiful, or you did such a good job on this, notice if your impulse is to deflect somehow, like, oh, like talk about the outfit, or if someone says you look nice and you're like, oh, I got this somewhere else, it was only this much money, and you start shutting down. That's not reception. So we want to practice just saying thank you and letting it land. This, again, if you're not used to it, if you're not comfortable, if your worth depends on you doing something to earn praise, this is going to be uncomfortable. But this is going to help you rewire the patterning of receiving, because when we're looking at our financial flow and we're like, not a lot's coming in, but a lot goes out, that's a mirror of what you're doing energetically. If you do a lot, if you give a lot out, but you're not good at receiving, the money's just mirroring that. So before we can address the money, which is not the problem, but maybe a symptom, we need to address the energy. So can you accept when someone praises you or gives you a positive attention, can you let that land and take it in without deflecting it? All right, another way that we can get better at receiving on this one, I feel like they just kind of build up in intensity. This one might feel a bit much. Can you ask for help when you need it? Don't wait until you're in a place where you're like, oh my gosh, now I really need help. Can you ask for help when that feeling comes up? Will you let yourself be vulnerable? Will you let yourself be vulnerable? This might, again, be hard with people who have hyper independence. A lot of times people who are caregiver energies, if you're taking care of others, you had to learn to kind of just, no one was there to take care of you. You've got to take care of yourself. You become hyper independent. So to ask for someone to help you almost feels humiliating. Let me know in the comments if any of this is resonating with you, and know that you're not being judged for it. It's just so you can see it, right? Does that resonate, that you're like, it feels really wrong to ask for help? All of us need help. We are designed as a species to rely on each other. We cannot do this alone. Being alone is humans' greatest fear. It's not death, right? So how do you know it's not death? You get two choices. Let's say you get captured and someone's going to either kill you or they're going to imprison you for life in a room with no doors and windows, and you'll never see another person. You'll get meals somehow, but you won't ever get to be with anyone else. Which would you ask for? Most people would be like, I'm done, right? They don't want that option because we are a communal species. We are designed from birth to rely on other people. We're one of the few mammals who cannot get up and walk like within hours of being born, right? We're very dependent on the people that brought us into this world for us to survive. So we are a communal species. We need each other. And we can tell each other we don't need other people, but that is a lie that keeps us in pain and suffering, keeps us isolating, and it leads to getting sick in many different ways because we actually need the energy of other people around us. We energetically help each other just by being close by. There's so many points about how humans need each other to survive. We are designed this way. So when you need help, that is not you being weak or being out of alignment with what you truly are. It is you being human in the best sense. That's what you need. We need each other. And it can be hard to be vulnerable, especially when you're so conditioned to give and to serve. It can feel wrong. It can feel shameful or guilty. And those are feelings that you might need to investigate, go deeper in, and break down. But needing help is very human, and it's designed to keep people around us. That's why we're not going to be given all the tools all at once, right? And we could use help in all different sorts of ways. So by being willing to ask someone to help us, we are practicing the art of receptivity. And finally, another way you can practice opening up your receptivity is to celebrate yourself out loud, to validate and celebrate what you have done, right? Taking the time. One of the things I like to do is write down all the things that are going well, because it's so easy for our brains to focus on where the problem is. We're designed for survival. We want to survive. So our brains are wired to look for problems because problems usually imply that there could be a threat in our environment. So we're wired to look for threats. Unfortunately, it helped us in early years of survival. Now it kind of just gets in our way psychologically. The good news is that we can wire ourselves to see where things are going well, and that can help us shift. It can help us shift our nervous system. It can help us shift our mood. It can help us shift our sense of self and self-image. Where can you celebrate yourself, and can you do it out loud? And maybe you might need to work up to something like writing it down. So write down a list of wins for the week. What what has happened this week. It doesn't have to be monumental. It can be a little thing, like getting to sleep on time, or taking the time to meditate, or go for a walk, or making a delicious meal that everybody enjoyed. What are things that you can celebrate that happened? Start by writing them down, and then just say them out loud. You don't have to say them out loud to other people. That might be like too much. Like you're like, no, this is pushing me too far out of my comfort zone. What if you wrote it down, looked into the mirror, and just said out loud, I am proud of myself for, I did a great job at, I am so excited that I know how to, you fill in the blank. Because remember, working on receptivity isn't just about money alone. At the bottom of the money is your sense of worthiness. And if we can hold our value, we will see that value increase financially, because money is simply energy, and it's simply reflecting back to us how our energy works, right? So when we're overgiving, a lot of money's going out. When we're not good at receiving, a lot of money, the money is just having a hard time coming in. So we want to find that balance where we're opening up the flow. I know that for some people, they're worried that more money fundamentally changes their character, and that's really not the case. Money amplifies the character. So when you've got a lot of money, it's not going to change who you are fundamentally. It's going to amplify who you already are. And one thing we can know about people who have a good amount of money is that they're good at receiving. Now you are really good at giving. So imagine what your life would look like opening up your pathways of receptivity and also being a natural giver. That's great flow energy. So with that, let's see what the karma cards have to add to this reading. All right, if you're new to karma cards, let me quickly show you how these work. I have 3 decks here: planets, signs of the zodiac, and the houses of astrology. And I've already asked my team, what is the message for this week? And I've got 2 sets of answers, a set in red, which are action related, and a set in blue, which are outcome related. And the way that you play is you tune in with that beautiful intuition of yours and feel what is the guidance you need this week. Are you looking for action related guidance or outcome related guidance? And of course, you can always choose both. And while you are choosing, let me tell you the timing for this reading. This reading is for May 15th through the 22nd. And the flavor of this reading, so we've got Mercury, which is the analyzer. This is the planet of thinking. It's about how we're thinking and how we're communicating or letting our message get across. In the sign of Leo, which is talking about leadership, Leo likes to shine. And I feel like Leos are naturally good. Like Leo represents the heart energy. And so I feel like abundance actually does come in through the heart. And the house that Leo rules, it's the 5th house. It's the fun house. It's where love, excitement, creativity, and fun are happening. So we know that there's this element of empowerment. It gets to be sacred play when Leo is around. In the 1st house, which is about your self-image, your self-expression. So we definitely know that this has to do with how we see ourselves. All right, for those who are choosing action, your spiritual action at this time is to communicate leadership immediately. All I'm hearing in my mind is you got to take the bulls by the horn, right? Like you got to grab this and understand that this is more in your control than it might feel. So when we feel, especially around money, that can feel very much out of control, this is letting you know, no, babe, you're in control here. You always have been. Remember, money is just matching energy. Good news. Energy is completely in your control. You get to increase or decrease or regulate the flow of energy in your life, and specifically through the mind. So when Mercury's here, we know that this is a mental thing. It's mentally what is allowing or blocking us. All right, mental action at this time analyze the creativeness of the way you project yourself. We get room to play here, right? So first, we want to look at it as it is. As much as we can try to just look at this and it's like, why do I think like this? And again, we want to be careful about judgment. It is so easy to go into sort of a blame, judgment thing. I'm so wrong. This was so bad. None of that is necessary. We want to think about this in the way you'd think about a puzzle or a project, right? So problem solving is not the same as blaming or judgment. It is simply like, how do these pieces fit together? Is this the combination that's most effective? And if not, what other combination would work better? So when we're looking at the parts of ourselves who, let's say we've got that part where we're like, it's not very spiritual to ask for a lot, right? I'm here to give. I'm not here to take. You need to look at that and be like, is this really about how spiritual energy works? Or is this more about me being worthy? Is this about what good people do versus bad people? Like, I need to get in there and go, what does this mean? Or how am I interpreting that? Because as we do that, as we dissect it, analyze it, look at it, break it apart, we can start seeing the pieces that might work for us and actually feel like they're in alignment, and other pieces where we're like, yeah, I've been holding that for so long and yet it doesn't fit me. It's not helping me in my life. I'm holding this thought thinking that someday, that this is going to pay off, and it's not. It's just keeping me out of thriving. I'm simply surviving and I'm not thriving. Why do I have this fear that I'm not a good person? That's another, line you could go down and investigate that. Somewhere in there, when we're struggling financially, we're struggling with self-worth. And many times when we're struggling with self-worth, there's a weird belief that somehow you're not okay with who you are. There might be a lot of roads you have to go down. At some point, you're going to hit a thought where you'll find it. It'll be like, oh. And then you'll realize, I actually don't believe that. Like, I know that that's active, but I actually don't believe it anymore. That's an amazing moment, because as soon as you stop believing it, it has no power over you. It's only what we believe about what we think that actually can empower us. When we don't believe it anymore, we stop playing it. And remember, what we believe to be true, we work to make true. So if we believe in order to live a spiritual life or a holy life, we must deprive ourselves, then we're going to actually work to make that true, because it's what we believe. If we dig down deep enough and we're like, yeah, I remember learning that and thinking, okay, that's what I have to do, but I don't really believe that, then you have some magic to work with, because now you get to go, well, what do I believe? Whatever that is, you can put that in there, and then you will start working to make that your truth. Physical action at this time. Let your mind tell you how to do what you want to, and do it on your own. I don't even, literally the next line is basically what I just said. So it's about investigating and analyzing the thoughts that you're holding. What's the thought you're holding, and what do you want it to be? I might be holding something where I can't take too much. I need to take just enough because that's what a good person does. But there's another part of me that's like, yeah, but I want to thrive, and I want to experience more, and I want to have more than just enough. I want to be able to have overflow. And from that overflow, I get to do all sorts of things. Maybe I get to share it. Maybe I get to put it somewhere. Maybe I get to donate it to something. I want to know what that feels like. So if I'm holding this whole thing about only take what you need, don't take any more, but I have this desire over here, right? Then what I need to do is, again, break it down, figure out how I want to do it. And it starts with internal investigation, right? We can ask people all we want, but at some point you're going to have to ask yourself, why do I think that's true? And again, your friend here is curiosity. Curiosity is the kind of energy we bring when we're playing, when we are experimenting. And if we can treat this like an experiment, then it's not so personal. It's not so much about good or bad or right or wrong. It's more about, does this work? Does this get the result I desire? Or does this keep me kind of waiting for that to happen? So we get to do the internal digging and rewiring through the lens of curiosity and exploration. All right, so now let's look at outcomes for Mercury in Leo in the first house of self-image. The spiritual outcome at this time is the awareness of self-confidence to create who you are. In this exploration, as you are looking at the thoughts you're holding, and especially about receiving abundance and worthiness, at some point you're going to become aware of the contrast. So you'll see what you're holding and you'll see what you want. What you want is where that confidence is. That is the life I want. That is the life I claim. It's the life I want to live now. That is actually more who you are than these old thoughts that have been playing out. Now, what we're thinking, again, like I said, we work to make true, but you are evolving and shifting, and your desires are pointing you in the direction of who you actually are. This stuff that plays out, some of it you're going to keep because you're like, no, that's fundamentally me. Like if you think of yourself as a fun person, as an example, and you've always thought of yourself as a fun person, you're most likely going to continue to be a fun person, but you may have thought yourself as a fun person in spite of all the hardship you've had to endure. What if you find out that the hardship was part of a story that was perpetrating it, and that you're actually a fun person who gets to experience more ease and joy and excitement in their life rather than hardship? So instead of being fun in spite of suffering, you get to be fun and enjoy more. Mental outcome at this time, many thoughts about or from taking a chance on your desires. So depending on how deep this story is with you about worthiness and money, and worthiness is a big one for a lot of people. It's kind of like at the seed point of a lot of our issues, is we just didn't feel worthy, especially if we're feeling like we have histories of abandonment or neglect or not getting our needs met. It's easy for us to turn those into our lifestyle just because that's where the pain was, and that's what grew out of the pain, is this version of life. And even though that version of life might make you feel miserable at times, it's still safer than taking a chance on what you want. It might feel a lot safer to stay over here and feeling struggle bus, right? Being on the struggle bus versus what if it gets to be easy? What if I get to experience thriving and abundance and receiving and help and all these wonderful things? It might feel very scary to go there. I mean, if that list of ways of opening up your receiving, if any of that made you go, oh, I don't know about asking for help, or, oh my God, accepting compliments, how could I do that? I don't deserve those. Okay, good to know. It's good to know that you're comfortable with that, because that's the kind of thing you want to detach from, right? Do you really want to be comfortable in the idea that you don't deserve to be noticed or appreciated? Do you really want to be comfortable with the idea that you can just do this all by yourself and no one ever needs to help you? You really want to be comfortable with the idea that you have to wait for someone to acknowledge you in order to celebrate what's working in your life? None of that sounds great, right? But some of us are like, yeah, I'm used to it. Okay. And we can get used to a lot of intolerable things. But if you were to take you out of the equation and see a young girl or a young boy and see them going through that, would it break your heart to watch them struggle and suffer in those ways? If it breaks your heart to think about that, it's breaking my heart right now. If it breaks your heart to think about that, then why on earth should you have to endure that in life just because you're comfortable with it? So in this period of time, like I said, Pluto is very active. It's retrograding right now. You're going to go here anyway. You're going to look under the hood anyway. You're going to dig around and see what is or isn't empowering you. When you do it actively, it's much easier, by the way. So you're going to it's going to happen no matter what. Either it's going to take you for a ride, or you're going to hold its hand and go for the ride. But the ride is on, and it's on now through October, because we're in the Pluto retrograde energy. So you're going to have to look at where the disempowerment is hitting you. So if you can't stand the thought of another human being, especially a young, vulnerable human being, putting up with the idea of never being helped, or never being appreciated, or never getting their needs met, if that breaks your heart, then maybe it's time to look at, why is that okay for you to go through it? And yeah, the things that you desire, they might both excite you and scare you. Excite you because you want it, and scare you because you're afraid you can't get it. Better to face those fears and move into that space than to stay where you are and know that the pattern just persists or it gets worse. We are not designed to suffer, although suffering seems to be something humanity has done for a long time. But we're not in that era anymore. And the more of us that move out of it consciously, then we help others move out as well. It takes the majority to shift the energy, but the more of us willing to do that work, to investigate, to get out of these patterns of feeling unworthy or unable to receive, the faster we can shift the group. And if you're hearing this message, then you've got what it takes to shift. You've got what it takes to grab Pluto by the hand and say, yeah, let's look at this, because I'm done. I might be comfortable there, but I'm not happy. And it's time for you to be happy and experience that which you desire to experience. Physical outcome at this time, many words resulting from the impressiveness of your actions. I feel like this could be you just having a lot to say or write down about it, maybe a lot of journaling. Maybe as you start shifting and moving, you get those compliments. They start flowing in because you've opened yourself up to receiving them. Maybe you get a lot of people noticing that, wow, your energy's really shifted, and that you feel more present because you're allowing yourself to receive. Whatever it is, it's going to trigger a lot of thoughts, a lot of thinking, a lot of words, maybe a lot of writing. Your actions are going to shift. It's going to create this tidal wave of energy that is sweeping out everything that's not a match to you and recalibrating your life into abundance and real sense of worthiness and full service to others, where you are including yourself. And with that, I hope you have a beautiful and abundant week. You are a brave, beautiful soul who's willing to do the work to grow, and I see you, and I'm sending you so much love. Mwah.